When I first learned of this story, the first person I told about this was Town Biz. And I hope by the time this video goes up that he will have gotten the word about this and talks about this at length. But in case you don't know who this is in this picture, this is Dana White. He is the president of UFC, and his wife, whose name is Ann. And apparently on New Year's Eve, they got into an altercation at the club where it turned physical. Now you can see in this picture right here, like you can tell that there's some aggression going on right here. And I'm gonna be honest, just by looking at the picture, it almost looks like he's trying to hold her back, and you can just tell that she's like really getting into his face like that. But then when you look at this one right here, that's where it got really physical. You could tell he slapped or hit the shit out of her, because you could tell her by her face, it's kind of going to the left. To the right. Like she looked like it's almost like a Down Goes Frazier moment right there. And right now he has issued an apology for what happened. Now, what I had sent to Town Biz, I was asking him, will he get the Ray Rice treatment? Because we all know what happened between Ray Rice and his now wife, Janae, in that elevator a couple years ago. And that cost Ray Rice his entire NFL career. Like, he never recovered from that. I'm gonna be honest, I don't even know what happened to Ray Rice after that. It's like, I think he tried to get back into the league, but they wasn't having it. They wasn't letting him back in. And then after that, you really didn't hear about Ray Rice anymore. Like, that one incident right there completely ruined him. And I mean ruined Ray Rice. But my question is this: will this moment right here ruin Dana White? That remains to be seen. UFC President Dana White issued a public apology Monday for a physical altercation between him and his wife that was captured on video during their New Year's Eve celebration in Cabo, Mexico. The video published by TMZ shows White, age 53, and his wife Ann in a VIP area of a nightclub. Dana White can be seen in the video saying something to Ann White, at which point she slaps him in the face. Dana White then slaps her back before the two are quickly separated. Speaking to TMZ on Monday, Dana White apologized and said there are no excuses for what happened. You've heard me say over the years, there is never ever an excuse for a guy to put his hands on a woman, and now here I am on TMZ talking about it, White said. My wife and I have been married for almost 30 years. We've known each other since we were 12. We've obviously been through some ish together. We've got 3 kids. This is one of those situations that's horrible. I'm embarrassed, but it's also one of the situations that right now we're more concerned about our kids. We have 3 kids, and obviously since the video popped up, we've shown the kids the video, and we're more focused on our family right now. Now, before I go any further, I have to go backtrack a little bit to the part where he said that I said before over in the past that there's absolutely no reason or excuse for any man to put their hands on a woman. Yet there must have been an excuse for him to do it here. Because they just said in the article that she slapped him and then he slapped her back. So there was your reasoning, Dana White. That's why to the men out there, you cannot come out of your mouth one day and say there is no excuse to put your hand on a woman and then turn around days, weeks, months later and slap, let alone pluck a woman in the forehead. Because obviously there was a reason there. She got confrontational with you and you got confrontational back with her. And I'm almost certain, and I'm going to be honest, I would not be surprised if this has gone on before, but more at home. But now people are seeing it on the outside. I'm just saying it's a possibility it could have been, but then there's also a strong possibility that it is not. And the way that he's talking about his kids, his kids sound a little bit older. Like, they don't sound like too youthful. And when I say too youthful, I'm talking about under the age of 10. They sound like they could be teenagers, maybe possibly in their 20s. After all, this man is 53. But then again, I don't know when he and his wife had children. It said they've been married for almost 30 years. So I'm going to assume that they've had their kids a long time ago. But let me get back into this. I'm literally making no excuses for this thing at all. It's never happened before. It's the first time it's ever happened. So he says, people are going to say what they're going to say, and it is what it is. Whatever people say is deserved. I deserve it. In a separate statement provided to TMZ, and White also said it was an isolated incident. Dana and I have been married for almost 30 years. To say this is out of character for him is an understatement. Nothing like this has ever happened before. Unfortunately, we were both drinking too much on New Year's Eve and things got out of control on both sides. We've talked this through as a family and apologized to each other. I just hope people will respect our privacy for the sake of our kids. White and his family live in Las Vegas, where he has served as president of the UFC since 2001. Again, I bet you the media, at the request of Dana White and his wife, are going to get the privacy that they ask and request. But when that stuff happens with someone who is black, they can ask for the privacy from the media, but the media is like, privacy be damned. Remember also what happened with Adrian Peterson and how he was disciplining his son and how they tried to make it seem like he was some kind of a child abuser. I don't think he really recovered from that either. Like, they literally probably called CPS on this man. Meanwhile, I just did a video about this white couple out of South Carolina facing the death penalty under the Ugandan government for torturing their fostered black child. And let's not get started on the Hart family with Devontae Hart and his siblings. So you're basically saying that a black man disciplining his son is somehow abuse. Not saying that a black father can't abuse their children, because that happens all the time. Not all the time, but it happens, commonly. It doesn't, you know what I mean. But what Adrian Peterson was doing was not abuse. But see, the thing is, they took it as abuse because they said, I think he beat his son with a switch or something like that. That's old school whoopings right there. That's something that us as kids, well, even if it's not in my generation, your parents most likely did, especially if they grew up in the country. My mother could tell you stories about that one. About going off to get a twig or a switch off the tree and pull all the leaves off and all stuff like that. And then you would get whooped with it. But see, they took that and said, oh, he's abusing that child. But they tried to make it seem like this guy was about to damn near murder his child, when all he was doing was disciplining. But they over exaggerated it, of course, and we know why. My thing is this. With this situation right here, even with everything that Dana White and his wife have said, is this going to affect Dana White standing as the president of the UFC? Are they going to make him step down? Is he going to have to take a quote unquote leave of absence? Because I didn't see that anywhere in this article. Nowhere in it did it say from the UFC, Dana, until this blows over and we get all the facts, we're going to need you to, step back from your role just a little bit until we get all of this squared away, and we might bring you back. Nowhere did they say that. When it came to Ray Rice, that man was on the chopping block literally probably by that following Monday. And then when it all came out about how it led to that and how his now wife was the one that really initiated it, then by that time it was too late. The damage had already been done, and he was out of there. No more NFL for Ray Rice. And then those feminist groups was really mad at her because she ended up staying and then marrying him, because at the time she was just his fiance. They got really mad with her. At that point, they stopped. They dropped her because they wanted her to be the woman to bash her fiance. But the reason why she didn't do it is because when it all came out that she was the one that initiated it, it would have made her look bad to bash her fiance, now husband. But that's how the feminists operate too. It's somehow always the man's fault. It's never their fault. It's usually their fault. Or whenever it's their fault, they don't want to take the accountability. But that's neither here nor there. But I have no doubt in my mind that anything is going to happen with Dana White. They're going to brush this under the rug, and when it's all said and done, they're going to pretend and act like this, like they said, was an isolated incident, and that they're just going to go on with their lives and pretend that this didn't even happen.